issuing. We got some topics if we want to move on to like some broader market talk.
Yep, I'm just catching up on the recap post.
So I feel like a good one to touch on is the fiat on-ramp stuff, how MetaMask is now doing fiat on-ramp and off-ramp.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so which is really interesting because at this time, like a lot of crypto companies and exchanges are getting rid of their fiat on-ramps and off-ramps because of all these banks and all the regulation that's coming in. But meanwhile, MetaMask adding some fiat functions, which are desperately needed.
Yeah, I know, at some point I'm gonna start looking into some of those avenues in terms of onboarding fiat. From day one, I've pretty much been a basic cat, just using Coinbase, and onboarding into USDC and then using that USDC to venture off into whatever I want to get into, depending on what the protocols are and guidelines, restrictions. Probably going to be more enticing because obviously Coinbase has their holds and sometimes they lock up your funds up to a week, and who wants to wait that long? Crypto is a 24/7 real-time moving thing, and a week in crypto is like months. But this just goes to show the natural progression of an industry. Like DeFi didn't even exist a few years ago. Now we're talking about being able to onboard fiat through a DeFi platform. So it's just going to get easier and easier to basically be in crypto as the years go on and it becomes, more ubiquitous. It's also going to create a more efficient market. There's still plenty of layups, but 2017, 2018, talk about just like layups in regards to like arbitrage and just, market inefficiency. And, if you know how to build a bot, you could pretty much print money, and you could literally I did manual arbitrages, over the years here and there to pick up a little money. It's weird because it's going to be easier and there's going to be more availability, but it's also going to create less opportunity in terms of like that easy money as the overall crypto market becomes more efficient. I'm not saying we're there tomorrow. We're probably, many, many years away from that, but you can see it compared to 2017, 2018 to now in terms of just market efficiencies and availability. There was people that were just arbing between centralized exchanges and making and printing money. And I'm not saying you can't still do that, but it's not layup opportunities with big name coins anymore. People were doing that shit with Ethereum. That's how SPF made the majority of his money. And those, I think those layups aren't as common anymore because the market's becoming more efficient as more and more availability comes online. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, the market is just, it's definitely maturing right in front of our eyes. Even all the stuff we were talking about with MakerDAO and everything, that's all relatively new. MakerDAO is one of those things that's been around for actually a lot longer than most protocols, but all sorts of options like that have really just kind of started to rise to the top recently.
Well, and in the end, the price of Bitcoin dictates the, excitement around crypto. And, now that we just cracked 30K, which we're barely above, we're at like 3160 right now, but we're above 30K, and trust me, the normies have noticed because, I've heard from some normies after, having crickets all of this year. And it's just like Bitcoin being in the high 20s was one thing, but it's like, it's only one down move to being back, where we were. Now it's like, holy crap, we're at a new threshold because we've gone up, from 2s to 3s. It's funny how the mind works. We're literally only 2K higher, but a completely changing mindsets amongst the masses already.
Literally, yeah. It's always those psychological numbers,
Yeah, and based on saying it kind of at the beginning, my kind of like just technical analysis, which hashtag not financial advice. When I look at the chart, obviously we have all that price action in and around 31.5 from back in May of 2022 when we blasted right through that level, and then it hit its head on it twice and then dumped all the way down to 19, and then back in ironically May 2021 when we bounced off that area over and over and over and over, and then we finally after it looked like it was going to break down and got as low as 29 and change, we ripped all the way up to the all-time high.
Yeah,
so that's interesting that it's early April, we got May coming up, and that level came into play in May in the last 2 years. I think that's just a random coincidence I just noticed. So kind of funny. But yeah, there's so much price action from basically like 29.5 up to 32 and change. So yeah, we're breaking out of the little sideways consolidation we've been in for the last 2 weeks. But the question is, do we hit resistance up at 32? Or so I'm not, like I mentioned, I wrote a post yesterday about Bitcoin breaking out, and in terms of the short-term range over the last 2 weeks, it's broken out because the high side of that was basically like 29.5. But in terms of a bigger picture breakout, I don't know that I consider a breakout happening unless we establish above 32. But the price action has been constructive. I mean, we rallied, we ripped off of 20K. We went sideways for weeks, consolidated, and now we're pushing higher. I mean, that's what you want to see, like basically like a stair step. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like the first step in a stair. So if we can push up to 32, consolidate there, and then push up again, and we can go higher than that. I mean, even like there's just so many levels in play. I mean, there was a ton of action at 34 and change back in like last year. We bounced off 34, like 34.5 multiple times. So that's potentially an upside as well, which would probably be more consistent with the last move. I mean, we went from 20 to 29. So we go from essentially 28 up to 34. Not as big a move, but at least it's somewhat comparable.
So what do you think happens after let's say that we hit 34? Where do you see it going from there?
Ideally, we consolidate, and at least if we hit 34, then I want to see it stay above 32, or at least 31, like high 31s. If we can stay above that, because that'll be a good consolidation / pullback test. Small range, but that's where all the action is. So really, I just want to see us established, above 31.5, but really 32. So, but yeah, there's a lot of real estate. I mean, after 34, there's a whole bunch of real estate up to into the 40s. I mean, really into the almost mid 40s. No, there's a lot of action at 40 as well. But it's gotten cloudy because obviously that moved down. The good news is though, we basically in November, none of us realized it, but we broke out of that downtrend that we were in since the all-time high. And then we went sideways for basically 3 months. And now since then, we're working our way up. And I mean, at this point now, I don't want to say we're in an uptrend, but, in theory, we have a, kind of just an ascending channel, which ironically, we're actually right at the top at right now. We're right at the top of it.
See what happens.
Depends on how you look at it. Either that or technically we broke out back in mid-March and we've been basically it's been riding on the upside of that trend line. So maybe that is the case. But yeah, either way, we are no longer in a downtrend. I'm not saying we're no longer in a bear market because I don't know what constitutes the flip in crypto, but we definitely are no longer in a downtrend and we're kind of in an uptrend.
Yeah.
And it's so hard when price is down at 17K at the tail end of getting your ass kicked since essentially late 2021 to decide it's time to back up the truck, even though you told yourself you would.
Yeah.
I wish people held me accountable. I said it on air a few times. I used to say, I go play ball, and obviously like at basketball, I'm the crypto guy or whatever. And I told all those guys, if we get sub 20, I'm literally backing the truck up. I used to like, I'm obviously exaggerating, but I'm like, I will refi my house and put it all on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I wish people would have gave me shit about it because it would have done me a favor. I mean, wish I would have refied my house and put it all on Bitcoin at 17K. I can be sitting pretty right now.
That'd be great. Yeah. Hindsight is 2020 though.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like I said, in that environment, like you just got your ass kicked for a year and a half.
Right. It's hard to have the right mindset.
And you're looking at levels. And like I said, I really thought we were going to get down to like 13.5. And that's where I had my bigger orders. I had my bigger orders from 13.5 up to 14, and they just never got filled. I just didn't want to have no dry powder if we were to break under 16.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I do the dollar cost averaging. I don't have to think about it too much. I just have that strategy, stick to it, and it does its thing.
Set it and forget it. You don't have to bother looking at anything. It works out. It definitely worked out better.
Yeah, I wrote a post this morning about MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, and they're officially not underwater on their Bitcoin anymore because
I never knew they were.
Yeah, their average buy price was about 30K. So,
nice.
Yeah, and I posted some charts in that post showing their buys because you can see since they're a public company, they have to file every time they buy. So you can see exactly what prices they were buying at. And a lot of their buys were over 50K, but their average price is still 30.
Yeah, we talked about that pregame. Like I said, my two biggest buys in my history of buying Bitcoin were in the 50s, and that obviously didn't work out so great. But overall, my average price has got to be green. I'd have to do the math, but I don't see how it's not just because I got in so early. back in the day.
Yeah, that's how it's. I've always been, positive Bitcoin. I mean, in reality, you could consider that my Bitcoin position is basically free. It's like I've taken out more than whatever I put in back in the old days. So it's one nice thing about being in this industry for so long.
Yep.
Yeah.